What's going on, guys? Figured it'd be a great time to do a little bit of an update on the chart. So what I'm looking at is a 2-hour time frame here on Toshi. Now, again, if you don't have any plans in dollar cost averaging or loading into more of your position and you're kind of all set in stone, take a walk, go touch some grass. You're going to be fine. The whole entire market is down right now. We have Bitcoin testing prices of 93,000. Ethereum is kind of holding up, and that's essentially what we want to see. We want to see Ethereum start to hold up a little bit. Now, I made a video yesterday kind of talking about some key levels that needed to hold. That was right here in this mid 6 area, 6.5, 6.4, 6.3 needs to hold. Now, the prior swing low before that was sitting down here at around 5.5, 5.3 to be exact, so 0.0053. That still remains through and through. Again, there's just a lot of things going on in the overall markets. What is happening right now is there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of people who have been absolutely rug pulled by a lot of these meme coins on Pump Fun and Solana. People keep aping into these potential plays, thinking that they're going to turn $100 into 10,000, 10,000 into a million, 1,000 into a million. And what's happening is a lot of these projects is, a lot of insider stuff going on. That shift needs to start happening where people are, getting tired of those particular plays. They're getting into longer term plays. Like, go back to the time where everyone was holding Dogecoin and Sheeb and, things where, you only had a few handful of meme coins that were out there that you could realistically, kind of get behind. And it was more of a bullish context from the jump, right? I think a lot of money is going to be coming onto Coinbase, just due to the fact that a lot of people are tired of what's going on right now with Solana and a lot of the things that are coming to market. But getting back to our chart here, this is still a prime dollar cost average zone. So I've said it once, I'll say it again, between 5.2 all the way up to 9s. If you can have an average price there before this run starts to start, and I think we're going to get that first initial run, we're going to get that first area where you're going to start to see, price start to really jump, and you're going to go from 1x to 2x to 3x to 4x in about mid to end of March. Okay, so if you have no plans on kind of sticking around till mid to end of March, at least at a bare minimum, you're kind of doing yourself a disservice. So again, my timeline hasn't really changed. I'm looking for end of March, mid-March into April, and then kind of seeing what we do into May. Again, definitely going to hold a runner all year and kind of see what this wants to do. But if I look at this from a zoomed out view, technically, right, just forgetting about the narrative that's going around right now as a whole, this chart pattern, although some people may think that, we just keep going lower, 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 we're actually setting up a beautiful inverse head and shoulders. Okay, so an inverse head and shoulders is you get a shoulder pattern here, you get a little bit of a lower low there, and then you get a higher low here. Okay, now this particular pattern is bullish for price, and you can see what's happening here is we're building a base, right? No pun intended. We're building a floor at around that area where that Coinbase listing really exploded to the top side. Okay, so this is what you want to see. Now, again, I know it's a little painful. I know it's hard. I know, watching the stock not really, or not stock, the token not really do anything, the chart not really do anything. I know it's painful to watch, right? Guys, you got to relax a little bit. You got to start thinking a little bit longer term down the road. If you want to be a shorter term trader, there's definitely other plays where you can get into and load up a bunch of money and kind of flip, in and out of trades. If you really want to sit back, you want to make a little bit of a bigger bag on one potential play, this is going to be your play. So again, if assuming that we hold this head pattern here, right? We hold these lows. What you're going to see is when we start to turn around, you're going to see this shoulder, this head hold, and this shoulder hold somewhere in this range, and you're going to see that explosion move back up to the upside, which is going to be coming right around back to the price of 009, 0010. You're going to get probably a little bit of consolidation there, and once we break through those 9s and we close above it, where the next time we pull back we're holding 9s versus holding 6s, that's when the move is technically going to start. That's where you're not going to want to be buying more. Okay. If you have interest in this project and interest in making money over the next 3 months, over the next 12 months, what you need to do is you need to be buying when it's bloody. You need to be buying when there's a lot of pain in the streets. And again, I'm trying to tell you over and over and over, this is all of your buy zone. Okay. Do not try to be buying this once we start breaking 9s and breaking 12s. You're getting in way too late. But the common human nature is that everyone wants to get in when, oh, we're pushing higher, we're pushing higher. It's not the liquidity you want to be buying into, because as you're buying into that, you're going to have people who've been holding from down here and holding in here that are going to be selling into you on these moves as you're buying, right? Technically, what you want to be doing is on these pullbacks, you want to be loading the boat, so that way when we do start to pop, you start to double, triple, quadruple your return on investment very, very quickly. But what I wanted to point out here is because while doing some chart work here on this 2-hour time frame, I started to notice this inverse head and shoulders. So again, if I was to kind of zoom out, how long is it going to take, right? Okay, well, let's kind of go to a narrative. Let me take this off the screen. Let's go to the narrative of the first shoulder. Once we put in these lows here, we had about 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 24 hours. We had about a day's worth of price action. So about 24 to 36 hours worth of consolidation. So if we've started this shoulder here, okay, we've started this shoulder here, you could attest to say that we've got 2, 4, we would be looking at least, what's today, the 18th, at least into the 19th. So into this range here, you would expect us to kind of do something like this, okay, at least for the next 24 to 36 hours. And if we can hold for the next 24 to 36 hours, this explosion could be pretty big and it could be pretty violent, meaning where we could be exploding back up over these 9s. And that's essentially what you're going to want to see that first leg do. You're going to want to see that first leg get above 9s and finally close above a prior swing high. That's going to be extremely bullish. Now let's talk in terms of our multiples. Let's talk in terms of potential. From where we sit right now, we're sitting at about a $270 million market cap. To get back up to that $800 million market cap, you're looking at about a 3.5, maybe 4x, okay, from where we sit right now, depending on if we go a little lower or depending on if we start to bounce from here. You're looking at a 3 to 4x. So just to give you kind of an example, you got $1,000 in, just getting back up in this zone here, right? Getting back up in this zone right here, this zone where I'm kind of drawing this box, you're looking at about a 3 to 4x. Okay, so $1,000 in, you might be looking at anywhere between $3,500, $4,000 on your money. Now again, some of you guys have got $5, $10, $15, $20,000 loaded into this. You can kind of do the math on your own. Now, that's not the end of the road. We're definitely looking for more than that, but we want to keep things a little bit realistic. What I would be looking for is as soon as we start to get up into these zones, okay, as soon as we start to get up into these zones and we start to test, those 3, 4R multiples, what I would be looking for is a run into these 35s, okay? A run into these 35s, and then it kind of pulls back. And then it does a lot of consolidation at that all-time high, okay? So in this range. So again, depending on your plan, if you want to scrape a little bit of profits into 35s or into half a penny, closer to 50 and 60, I would do so. But again, I would also hold a runner. You're going to want to hold some good position there. That way, if we really start to run up, you could potentially be looking at 15, 20, 25x. Okay. So again, if you just kind of do the math based on how much you have into this, you can see how that can be very beneficial. I'm actually going to put a line here where I think that we're going to stop probably into the end of March, in April, somewhere in this zone here. Okay, somewhere in this zone here where is where I think the blow off can be for March and April. Okay, so if I was to do something like that, and now let's go back to my little drawing tool here and let's kind of zoom in a little bit so we can see. I'll move this down so we could see a little bit better. Okay, so this is what I could potentially see here. Whoops. Let's take that off. Once we start to get over 9s, okay, once you start to get over 9s, what you would be looking for is a push and close over nines, a back pedal where we hold nines, and then you're looking for those 15s to hold. And then once we get into this zone where we're testing these all-time highs, I'm expecting this breakout to be very, very clean. Okay, that breakout's going to be extremely clean because there's going to be so much momentum. You're probably going to get the rest of the market to kind of move along with you. So when we get this, right, let's just do this and fast forward. When we get this type of movement, whether this consolidates for a week or two, once we blow off that new top over 35s, I'm going to expect it to blow off somewhere in here. Okay, and that's what I'm kind of expecting for this short-term cycle going into May, going into April, going into the end of March, is a move like that. And again, from here, where we're looking at, you could potentially be looking at around a 10 to 15, maybe potentially 20. I don't want to put that number on there, but you could be looking for something around 8 to 12 X's. Okay, so let's kind of be realistic here. If you've got a couple $1,000s in here towards the floor, you could potentially be turning that into $25,000, $35,000, $40,000. So again, just kind of keep that in mind. Again, I don't like to focus too much on price targets because again, anything can happen, but you know, that's what generally gets people fired up. How much money am I going to make, right? Well, let's go with low end 4 to 6x. Let's go high end 6 to 8, 9x. Let's call it around 10x going into April, May. Okay, going into April, May. Now, depending on what we do between May, June, July, there's always tends to be a little bit of a pullback. We have to see where we consolidate at. If we do consolidate, you know, then we do something like this, where we consolidate down here towards these highs. Then towards October, November, December, you could get that one last blow off. Okay, and if we get that one last blow off, this is going to be the one you're going to want to empty the rest of your bag on. Okay, it is what it is. If you want to take a little bit of money here, that's fine. You want to take a little bit of money up here, that's fine. But there's going to be a period of 2 to 3 months worth of consolidation going into June, July, August, where you're going to either have to hold on here or you can add into your position back here for that final kind of stab going into November. But again, we'll cross that road when we get there. The main thing we're focusing on right now is seeing if this inverse head and shoulders plays out. And I would like to see it play out in a manner where we kind of come up to 10s and then consolidate at 9s. That would pretty much be the indicator that we are not coming back down here anymore. Okay, so for me, we would not be coming back down here anymore if we can break and close over 9s, 10s, and then once we pull back, hold those 9s and 10s. That's pretty much going to tell us that we're on the road to 15s. Okay, that's going to be that next area, and from here it can probably go pretty quickly into that, which I would say, you know, could go in as fast as 2 to 3 weeks, just getting back up to these all-time highs. So again, this chart pattern is playing out exactly the way you want to see it. You definitely want to see that pullback. You definitely want to see this inverse head and shoulders hold. Again, what's the worst case scenario? Worst case scenario is that you come into the steal zone, right? And that steal zone is anything sub 5s. You get anything into that sub 5s, I think it's going to be very short-lived, where you break into there for a minute, a brief moment in time, whether it's an hour, 2 hours, 24 hours, and you break into there for a moment in time and it really shoots up from there. Okay, so if you do not add here in a steal zone, don't bother trying to add on this run up at all. Okay, so it's either you get it in the steal zone. If that happens, that's worst case scenario. You get it in the steal zone, or you let it go once we start to really break. Again, we're getting so much time, we're getting so much opportunities to continue to load in the dollar cost average zone. The dollar cost average zone has been here for the better half of, you know, going back to February the 3rd. So for over 2 weeks, you've had plenty of time. I do not want to hear anyone complaining that when we're trading in the 13s, 14s, 15s, I wish I could have bought at 5. I wish I could have bought at 6. I wish I would have had it 10. Guys, your dollar cost average zone between 6 and 9, okay? Between 6 and 9, like that, like as long as we're dipping in there, you need to be buying in there, okay? If you believe in this. And again, the more you can add in that DCA zone, the more X's you're going to get, the more money you're going to make once we start to break out. And I'm telling you, once we just get to these all-time highs, you're looking at about a 4X almost, right? 250 million market cap. So we got 5, 750, a billion. You're looking at about 3 to 4 X's just to get back here. Okay, 3 to 4 X's to get back here. as soon as we break that, this is going to go pretty quickly into the 35s. This is ultimately my price target for the end of March. Okay, it's right here. That's my price target for the end of March. That kind of puts us at around 5 to 8x's. Okay, so 5 to 8x from where we sit right now. So just do the math. For every $1,000, you could be looking at $5,000 to $8,000 return within the next month, right? I mean, that's pretty good, depending on if you have 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. I mean, I'll just give you an example. Someone's got $10,000 in here. You could be looking at a $50,000 to $80,000 bag, right? $50,000 to $80,000 bag in the matter of a month and a half. You know, it's not a whole lot of work that you got to put in for a nice hefty bag, right? So obviously, the more you're adding down here, the more money you're going to make. Now, obviously, if your average price is way up here, then yeah, your multiples are going to be cut down between probably 3 and 5 if you're in this zone, right? But you don't want to be in that zone because we're getting a lot of time to add down here, right? We're getting a lot of time to add down here. So again, you know, I've heard people calling for 50x, 100x. Is it possible? You know, 100x, it's a stretch, but you know, anything's possible. Do I, you know, again, you know, like where do I think realistically in the best case scenario that this can do? I think we can fall just shy of a penny. So it can do something like this, right? And this would probably take all year though. Okay, so it'd probably do something like that. And that's what it would look like. And that type of move would take you to just shy of a penny, I think, for this cycle. Now, again, you have to think about it. This is Toshi's first real cycle. So a lot of people calling for like 500x, 1000x on the first cycle, you know, you would be calling for like a $300 billion market cap. You got to keep things realistic. You know, what would be extravagant? 40 billion, 50 billion, 80 billion. That would be extravagant. That would kind of put us in this zone here, right? It would put us in this zone somewhere up here. It's possible. It's entirely possible. But again, you know, just be smart. The last thing I would want anyone to do is say, oh, you know, I heard from someone that said we're going 1,000 X's. Meanwhile, you could have cashed out $200,000 up here, but then you're still holding it down here and now you're break even, right? Like don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. So with that being said, you know, figured to cover a little bit of a video there and kind of show you guys exactly what's going on with the chart right now. Again, kind of looking at this inverse head and shoulders. That's the only real focus that's going on right now. You can see if I just really start to zoom in here, give you a clear picture. Shoulder, head, shoulder, right? And this is bullish. This is bullish for an upwards move. Okay. So let's see if this plays out over the next 24 to 36 hours. I won't do another video until I see it play out. So either the next video that I make, we're going to be trading back up here, okay? Or we're going to fail this move here and we're going to come into that steal zone. And if we do come into the steal zone, then I'm definitely going to make a video as fast as I can in real time to kind of let everyone know, hey, we're in the steal zone. We might not be down here for longer than a day. And if we rock it out of here, we're probably going to rock it out pretty quickly. So again, we'll keep an eye on those two narratives. Hopefully we just do something like this, right? We just do something like that to start. We'll see. I'll keep an eye on it. I'll let you guys know. Again, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next video.